In about 30 minutes, the trial will resume for disbarred South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh. The defense says no father could ever murder his family in such a brutal, gruesome way, though prosecutors allege that Murdaugh shot and killed his wife and son to distract from mounting legal and financial troubles. Riley Benson, investigative reporter from our NewsNation station in Charleston, South Carolina, joins us live from the courthouse. Good morning, Riley. I know you've been covering this story for months now. There's been a lot of focus on Alex Murdaugh's composure immediately following the murders. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, good morning. Well, Alex Murdaugh obviously had an emotional week in court last week. The first week of his murder trial, we saw him breaking down, crying, sobbing at points as the gruesome and graphic details of the murders of his wife and son talked about openly in court. He was also happy to see family members of his in court supporting him. It's the first time we've seen people such as his son Buster, his brothers John Marvin and Randy Murdaugh, even his sister in courtroom. It's the first time we've seen anyone supporting him. So when he sees those family members, he's been very happy, genuinely smiling. But again, as we're hearing details of these two murders, his son Paul, his wife Maggie, he's breaking down, he's sobbing in court, he's very emotional. He's also nodding and bobbing most of the time in court, putting his head down at times. It's been interesting to see. We haven't seen this kind of emotion from Alex Murdaugh over the last 18 months through a number of hearings, something we've kind of watched very closely llast week.
What was the mood of the jury, of the courtroom when that crime scene was shown? I know that only jurors were allowed to see that video because it was so horrific.
Yeah, obviously that's not something that people want to see. They've been very intent. They've been very engaged. They've been watching the evidence as it's been presented so far, the first 2 days of testimony last Thursday and Friday. But again, on Friday, we heard from an expert with SLED, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. It was a very lengthy testimony, about 5 hours. And points, jury members kind of did look like they weren't fully engaged during that. It was a long testimony as we went through some of the evidence, some of the physical evidence from that crime scene. For the most part, though, these jurors have been very engaged. They've been intently listening to both state prosecutors and the defense and really paying attention to this evidence as it's been presented in court.
In terms of this very well-known, prominent family in the community, there's so many people who know about them prior to this scandal. What's the mood right now in town? And are people talking about whether they think he's guilty or not?
Obviously, the mood here in town has been kind of mixed. This is a very small town, Walterboro, South Carolina, with just maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people. So this has actually brought a number of people here to kind of see what has been described as a circus. All the media members who have descended on this small town, all the people who have came here. So people very interested in to see the proceedings and the attention it's brought to Walterboro. Other people certainly not excited to have this kind of attention brought to this town. A couple thousand people maybe here in town for this extended period for this trial. Some people, we saw signs outside the courthouse last week saying that Alex Murdaugh was guilty and they're asking to have their mind changed. Other people, I'm not so certain that that's what they feel. Obviously this was a well-respected family in this part of South Carolina. So I would say it's definitely kind of a mixed emotions from people who are here at the courthouse in Walterboro.
Real quickly, I know you mentioned his son Buster in the courtroom. Do we think we're going to hear from his son? And will we hear from Alex Murdaugh himself?
Well, there's been talk about Buster testifying. He's obviously one of the 255 people on the witness list in this case. It's something that could happen. Obviously there's been some question about Buster and a number of these witnesses being allowed to be in the courtroom during the testimony. But again, Buster is on the list to testify. It's something that it could happen in probably the latter half of the later half of this trial. As far as Alex Murdaugh taking the stand himself, that's something that attorneys here have said they wouldn't recommend having Alex get on the stand to testify in his case. It's something that could happen, though. I mean, we've seen a connected case. Russell Lafitte, a disgraced banker who helped Alex Murdaugh allegedly with some of these financial crimes, he took the stand in his federal trial. So it's something that's certainly not out of the question for Alex Murdaugh to take the stand in this trial, maybe towards the end.
All right, Riley Benson for us. Thank you so much for all of your reporting.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.